Surf's Up fam, I'm your host, Corey Shane Brown. It is Surf's Up intention to resonate with the listeners of the San Diego community and communities beyond by sharing the stories of the creators and entrepreneurs we meet in order to discover the keys to unlocking our shared potential and inspiring others on how to develop themselves in order to live a more balanced life. This will in turn raise the community and ultimately inspire listeners to live a life of personal sovereignty and financial freedom. Before we begin, I'd kindly request that you hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, give us a like and or comment down below, and hit that notification bell for upcoming episodes. All feedback is welcome. If you would like to support us, there is a Patreon link as well as affiliate links to the equipment used to produce Surf's Up podcasts in the description. If you feel inspired to create a podcast of your own, this is likely the most cost-effective way to do so. I receive a small commission without any additional cost to you. Without further ado, I would like to thank you for dropping in with us and welcome to Surf's Up Podcast. Surf's Up, everyone. Welcome to the show. Our goal here at Surf's Up Podcast is to inspire the everyday man with the everyday man, because relatability is the key to true inspiration. It's that little reminder that we're all in this together. Today's guest you'll want on your side after your small business or entrepreneurial career has kicked off and you're starting to cash flow. Specializing in tax incentives for small business, real estate owners, and investors, he can guide you on creating an efficient tax strategy so that you can protect and capitalize on your hard work. Please join me in welcoming my personal CPA, Jared Montoya. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. So I will usually start off with like people's backstory. You're from here, or?
Yes, sir. San Diego, born and raised.
So native. Cool.
Yeah.
You're one of the. I know, not being from here, it's pretty fucked up for me to say, but a lot of natives I meet are kind of jaded.
It's a mixed match of a lot of personalities. Like I meet people from Northern California, and they're all pretty like mellow and chill and stuff. And in San Diego, we get a mixed match of a lot of different types of people. So
yeah, definitely. And I think like people. I guess the little bit older crowd that were here before the influx of tourism, like those are the jaded ones typically. Like I've had like old surfer dudes like pissed off at me because I'm paddleboarding, or like I don't know, just random like instances with natives, and I'm like, I've been here 10 years. I think I'm square.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because my dad was born and raised here too, and he started surfing when he was 13.
Yeah.
He'd take me to the beach, and I remember he would have this buddy named Mac, and this guy was like a Mack truck, and he'd always be getting on fights at the beach, and my dad would be like, "Oh crap, here we go again," because Mac's like upset with another surfer or something. But I don't know. I think like there's some spots here in SD that are kind of like more territorial than others, but I don't pay too much attention to these old school dudes.
Yeah. No, I usually just laugh because it's really funny to me. So you grew up here, went to high school here. When did like doing finances? I guess like what inspired you to go into the financial world? Did you have like an economics class in high school that kind of triggered it, or?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I guess that's a little personal. It is kind of personal, but I'll let you know what it was. The other people know what happened. I actually went to school for music first. So I was in college, and basically after I did all my theory classes, we started analyzing where I would go after I got my degree. And I realized I was like, oh, well, if I'm not performing or teaching, there's really, that's really what you do with a music degree. So a buddy with me, he was like, well, if you want to make some money in your life, you can invest your energy into something that's a little bit more, I don't know what the word
lucrative.
For it is. Yeah, lucrative, And I kind of fell into it because I think I was working at Starbucks or something when I was 19 or 20, and going to college and stuff. And I think I went home one day and I was just upset because I felt like somebody disrespected me at work, and not like I was just like, man, I want a job where people respect me. And my mom was like, well, why don't you go down to H&R Block and start preparing taxes? And I was like, okay, I guess I can do that. So by the time I was 19, I was doing taxes, and it was funny because people would come in and be like, "Are you joking? Like this kid's going to do my taxes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, he's really good. Trust me." Like they'd be supervising me and stuff, and half the people thought it was like, "Oh, that's really great," and then people with taxes, it's a pretty serious matter for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
half the other people were like, "I don't trust this guy."
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he even knows like what mortgage interest is. So
He has not been to college.
he looks pretty young. Yeah. So but
So well, what's the word? You like I you cut your teeth so to speak at a young age.
yeah, and then after that I realized that having a CPA was really lucrative, so that was my long-term goal. And then I just kind of went from there. So, that was one of the things that I remember in college. I was like, man, I just want to be like a waiter or something, and be that cool waiter who gets tips, and and I'm like working at H&R Block, but it paid off.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's more of a long term.
Yeah.
It's a long game.
Yeah,
versus,
it's a long game for sure.
Yeah. Because you at this day and age, you probably don't want to still be waiting.
No,
table.
I think that was a good choice for good decision in my life.
You probably, if you were waiting tables right now, you'd be like, man, I wish I would have went to H&R Block.
I wish I would have did some other things for sure. But yeah, no, everything's. I'm happy with what I do, and I think that actually there's a correlation between music and looking at numbers. I get intrigued by it. I kind of feel like.
So your motivation less than money was more the respect level that you wanted.
Well, I thought that was where that was kind of initially what it was, and then you deal with all sorts of different.
Well, I think like as a teenager, you're more stuck on like your morals and your ideals than money. Like you're not taught anything about how money actually works,
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. One of the things, the top 3, books that inspired me. One was Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Right.
and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Were there any books that really open your eyes to how the world actually works?
Well, a book that's pretty good is The Richest Man in Babylon. That's the one
I've heard
that
of it, but I've
teaches
never read it.
Well, when I was working at H&R Block, there was one of my managers. She saw that I was into trying to understand and learn more, and there's a few books like The Richest Man in Babylon. She recommended I read Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, which after I read that book, I think I stopped reading altogether because I was like, oh my god, the stereotype was real. Like I was just like, couldn't wait to get done with that book. But another one that I was thinking of recently that probably helped me, kind of start to gauge myself and stuff for the real world is Dale Carnegie's Influencing People and How to Make Friends. That book is good too.
Yeah,
but
How to Influence People. Yeah.
Yeah, but Rich Dad Poor Dad was definitely the book that kind of definitely was the one that was like, okay, now I want to be an entrepreneur or have a business or something like that, because I'm seeing how people get sucked into working for other people, and they kind of they're limited, by how much the salary will pay or stuff like that. Whereas, my efforts, for better or for worse, some days chicken, some days feathers. I don't mind. Sometimes I come home late at night, I'm like, damn, today was a rough day. but then I'm like, then I have a great day the next day, So it's a little bit more of a roller coaster, but in the long run, it's more rewarding.
Yeah, because it's all on you.
Yeah, basically.
You're not waiting for anybody to approve of you. I know for me, switching last year into trying to make money for myself. My I don't know. So many times in so many jobs, I would. They knew that I was a good worker, and the thing that held me back from advancing in multiple jobs was the fact that my attitude was always a little off because I thought I could do it better. And the reason I thought I could do it better is because I was seeing all the holes in the boat, and
Oh yeah,
and,
no.
and then you, at a certain point when you're not being rewarded, you become, you become jaded, and you're like, man, I gotta find something different. And then you go find another job, and then you run into the same problem. Then you go find another job, and you run into the same problem. It's different people, different situations, but it's the same problem recurring.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was actually working for a small business and seeing like how a small business is run. And I enjoyed working for my carpet cleaning boss more than I liked working at a bar where, like, you have all these social perks and you get to drink after work and you get to go to like concerts, because I worked at the observatory.
Oh, cool.
But I enjoyed carpet cleaning with my headphones in my ear and like learning, like listening to podcasts and reading, more than I liked working the night shift and like having fun and like being, previously I was like, I just want to be a bartender. Like, that seems like the move,
To some extent, sure.
And for some people it works, but like for me, I just, the evening time is my time, that's when I want to like be creative and do stuff. I don't want to be, shackled down by anybody. So
well, like for example, last night I was holding off on going to my office, and I finally went at 9 o'clock at night, and I was there till 12 o'clock, and then I was like, just went home, and I was like satisfied. I was like, this was a good day. I took care of a lot of stuff. But the scheduling, like how I have my own schedule and things like that works for me. That's the one thing that never worked with my previous employers, and it drive them insane, because it's not like I'm not a punctual person or anything. I'll show up on time, but like I just have my own rhythm and stuff when it comes to like how productive I am, and a lot of times I'm most productive at night, and it kind of keeps me in line too.
Yeah, I have that same, I don't know, blessing or curse. I don't know which way you want to see it, but it's like as soon as like the traffic calms down,
Right.
and there's no dogs barking, and there's like there's no distractions, the phone's not going off, like it's like all of a sudden it's like the gates just open, and it's like, and I can focus.
Right.
And I've tried to like shift to getting stuff done during the day, and I have been getting more stuff done during the day, but the clarity is not the same.
No.
And I've been like that since I can remember, like 8 years old, like 9 or 10 years old. My parents would go to sleep, and then that's when I would like have like my time to like create or do something or play video games, or like, I don't know. It always seemed like my time.
I see that too, that there's a thing about night owls.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between larks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the word lark is very flattering, but a lark is somebody who likes to like wake up early in the morning. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, no, not happening.
I got on a kick for that for a little bit, and I actually really enjoyed it. The only way I can do it though is I have to go to bed at like 4 or 5 or 6 p.m. I can't go to sleep at a honorable 8 to 10 p.m. It just doesn't work. That's when I start to wake up, and so I have to like do like 4 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Well, I see a correlation in business owners with people who like to stay up late at night. I mean, then again, though, every now and then I run into, especially like, just depends on the people. Sometimes it surprises me the personality types that like to rise up early in the morning, because I kind of like, I tend to associate like a night owl with somebody like with a certain personality type. But
Yeah.
San Diego for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice outside, even at night. So, that actually, like, that's how I started getting into working out and stuff again. Is like last summer it was just so hot during the day. I'm like, I don't want to fucking work out. It's hot. It's like I'm gonna die out there. So I started like working out as soon as the sun went down. That's when I'd go running, and that's how I've always, like, growing up playing soccer. I enjoyed like playing a night game under the lights 1,000 times better than any daytime game. There's just a different energy to it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you have this too, because I just noticed that I'm just a lot sharper at night. I don't know. Like if I wake up, it takes me like easily 3 to 4 hours for me to like just be focused on something really like solid.
Same.
And during that time, I'm just relaxing and just mentally preparing for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like if somebody tries to throw something at me right when I wake up, I'm not gonna have it. Really.
No, it doesn't work for me. I wish it did.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
I mean,
but it just doesn't work for me. And me and episode 10 with Dimitri, he talked about this. The different types of sleepers, and he said, he mentioned you really got to honor that creative time and like be okay with it. Even if it doesn't fit society's mold of what you should be or how to be productive.
Well, during this whole pandemic too, it's just been a shift of like strategies and time frames and stuff, because when this whole thing happened, everyone was like, okay, we're just going to sit at home for a while. And everyone's just, I felt like just kind of like just relaxed or, hung out the house, took a lot of day naps. And then it's like when people started getting active again, what I noticed is in the past, I used to email people late at night so they didn't respond. I don't know, because I'm just like, I don't need a response right now. And then after the pandemic happened, I'd be emailing people late at night, and they'd be responding like right back at 11 o'clock. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, these guys are crazy. Like people are all going insane.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So as far as like some tax strategies, can you like some basic ones that everybody maybe could employ? Do you have any shorts for like just your average, not business owner? Well, it could be an entrepreneur, but something that anybody could employ?
Well, taxes can take a huge chunk out of people's long-term wealth. That's something that a lot of people don't focus on, is their tax, monitoring how much money they're paying in taxes, because it adds up, and it adds up a lot.
It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep.
Yeah, well, and actually that's kind of what I was going to touch on too, with that in that book, Richest Man in Babylon. They talk about that. It's kind of like every time you make, let's say, $10, always keep $2 for yourself.
Yeah.
Pay yourself before you pay.
Okay, little malfunction there. So we were talking about the richest man in Babylon.
well, like some advice I would give for everyone is kind of an excerpt from that book about like managing your money, just paying yourself, keeping portions for yourself, so that you could do things like run a business, invest in a business, or potentially like something like what like I think you're doing right now with like crypto and stuff like that, or investing in stocks. I mean, just stuff that's going to make money.
Yeah.
And that actually, that was also something in The Richest Man in Babylon. It happened where like a merchant sold something, and then he kept the money, and then he reinvested it, and he made like a lot of money, whereas his friend didn't. And so there's like some lessons there about managing money. But
one I've heard is a lot of people think, oh, I'm too poor to do that, or but really I went to this group, and they told me, you may be working with less money, but it's all percentages. It's an allocation game, and you're not allocating it. Like you just said, you're not paying yourself. And they said, look at your food bill, because most people underestimate your food bill when you try to guesstimate your when you try to guesstimate your budget, typically people underestimate on their food, and they were 100% right about that. And what I figured out was how to basically cut my food expenditures in half. And when I realized that I could cut my food expenditures in half, then I started looking at, okay, what else, making the same amount of money, what else can I cut out? What thing do I buy every day that I don't really need, you know? And then I was like, I go to 7-Eleven every day and I spend $10, you know, or $15. And I was like, okay, well, instead of like going there and spending $15 every day, how can you spend less? It's like, well, I always buy water there. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to go buy a water jug and start going to the water store.
Yeah.
And then it became, okay, you can still go to 7-Eleven and buy a snack, but you're only allowed to spend $5 instead of 15. And it's like a game of percentages. So I was saving 66% on that daily habit. And that daily habit adds up. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but at that time I wasn't making very good money. So
Yeah.
saving an extra $100 a month was a big difference to me. And then I literally got on it became like an obsession where like everything I was doing in life, I was just like, I saw everything was a dollar bill in front of me. I was like, that costs that much? Do I need it? Probably not. And then I saved up enough because I started to like realize what was happening with crypto like before last year, before the halvening, and before crypto was on anybody's, except for the people already in crypto, but before it was like really mainstream like it is this year. I started to realize I want to save up some money because like I don't have enough to start a business, but crypto is one way that you can invest in something and it has an asymmetrical bet. And
yeah, and actually, like, just to add on to that too, a lot of people tend to think that starting a business is expensive and everything, but from a tax perspective, you have 3 years to take a loss on an effort towards a business, So when it comes to
what does that mean?
So basically, if your intent is to start a business and you're spending money on it to start that up, you can take a tax loss for approximately 3 years before it's considered a hobby. So during this time frame, for the average person who's trying to save some money on their taxes, they could potentially be taking a tax write-off to offset their other taxable income, be saving money on their taxes, and starting their own business. And the IRS likes this because they want to incentivize people to start businesses.
Because it stimulates the economy, creates jobs.
It helps create jobs. There's a lot of positives, and that's why there's so many incentives out there for business owners and people doing those types of that type of line of what they're doing because it's good for everyone. It's good for the economy. It's good for people who need a job, and ultimately, hopefully, the business is a good business or a quality business that's doing good for the community too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't know, for lack of better words, a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing, like, coming from the South, it's very conservative. And I come out to California, and it's very liberal. But one thing I noticed, the biggest difference is when I came out here was big business like Walmart and everything. That's everywhere, and that's all you got. That's all you have. And then when I came out here, I was like, dude, there's small businesses everywhere.
Shops.
I'm like, how do these things survive? Like that was my mentality, is like, and I realized I was just like, oh, because people actually like prefer it. People prefer that feel and that trust in a small business owner, because they understand that the customer matters versus like Walmart and stuff. The customer doesn't matter as much, because they're running so much volume that it really cuts down on the quality.
Well, and also there's a camaraderie that goes with having a business, because people who support you love to see, I mean, at the same token, like when I go up to somebody, I feel a connection to people who are working, and I trust them, and
Yeah.
it feels good to work with people who you trust and like, and that's that's why it's always nice to see people starting their own business and stuff, because I'm like, oh cool, they're going to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're probably going to make friends, and it's just be a breath of life type. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. It extends the network in an organic way, versus just facilitating a buy and sell transaction on a mass scale.
All right.
So yeah, so basically start where you're at is the first and biggest lesson that I got when I started was, take what you have and look at it in percentages versus dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also another thing too, to add on to starting a small business is have a mission statement. Create a vision for what you want to create in the long term, and those are the things that I've had people come up to me with business ideas and stuff, and I'm like, well, what's your mission statement? They're like, I don't know.
They just
I'm
want to
just
make
like,
money.
yeah, they're just like, oh, I just want to make money. And guess what? Those businesses usually just
Yeah. From all the like entrepreneurial stuff that I like listen to and read, it's like, what's your why? Because if you
Yeah.
don't have a why, you're not gonna wake up and
doing?
get it done. Like a lot of times you're gonna burn out a lot quicker if you don't have a why, because it's gonna get tough no matter if you have a why or not. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But if you have a why, then you have a response and a reason when those excuses start to come up in your head.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Was there any other books besides The Richest Man in Babylon? I almost called it Richest Dad in Babylon again.
I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is definitely, like, hands down, probably one of the more influential books I read.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to. Was I coming out here, I started to get wrapped up in the liberalism that is California, and that book was the single-handedly biggest like game changer in my mind, because I started to realize what capitalism really was, and it wasn't just Walmart and blah blah blah. I started to realize that from the tax incentive perspective, like a lot of people see things as not being fair.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
but the thing is it's incentivized to not be. The tax code is incentivized to not be a worker. You get sucked into being a worker and a drone because
I'm sorry, I was just going to say something about that. It's like, or it's kind of funny, like sometimes, like, because I work with taxes, people kind of correlate, like, I'm somehow working with the IRS. I'm like, no. I mean, I'm helping people save money on their taxes, so I'm like an advocate for the people.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, I'm trying to keep them compliant and keep everything sane in the tax code. So I think. But anyways, I'm sorry, I digress.
No worries. I mean, really, you got to have entry level jobs, because people that don't go to college and stuff, they got to start somewhere. But
I think the problem is a mentality, and what it comes down to is education.
Yeah.
When people have a different perspective on things, it shifts the way that they see things, and then they approach it differently. I've run into quite a few people recently, and it's just their attitude, it's their perspective that's holding them back more than anything, and it's like so hard to show somebody that. And I've tried so hard. I get frustrated sometimes because I'm listening to somebody talk, and I'm just like, dude, like, you don't get it. You need to get grip.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, is that Luca making all that noise? Hey. Sorry, we got a puppy in here, and she's making a little bit of noises. Yeah, actually, one of the guys who like really like one of the first tax guys I met that really like changed my view, because I feel like I always got screwed on taxes. Like, um,
Yeah. I
it,
mean,
it happens,
taxes
right?
are
But
fraud.
I met this guy surfing in the. I think that's like a squirrel on the window. Anyway, um, I met this tax guy actually out in the water surfing one day, and he explained to me like, you know, it was totally out of left field. I was like, well, I just have a job. He's like, oh, there's still things you can do.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, will you be my tax guy? He's like, I'm from Arizona. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm just here for the summer. And I was like, oh, okay. But that sparked my interest in trying to understand what like where to go, like who to ask. And before I found you, I was looking for someone to explain to me how to do these crypto taxes, because I was like, dude, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
because everybody in the crypto space is like subject to say, I'm not a tax advisor,
Yeah.
I can't give you any information. And I'm like, all right, well, what do you do? I'm like, because no one will help you. And
Yeah.
so I called multiple crypto tax people, and none of them were in San Diego. And I was like, dude, I want to work with someone in person. I don't I don't want to work over the phone and by email with
Yeah.
something that's like has been this life changing for me. And that's when I finally talked to Alex, and he mentioned you. And I was talking to two other places when I finally met you, and I was like, no, that's the guy I want to work with, because he's local. I can explain to him in person like what I'm going through and how I want to strategize my life, and not just like pay some crypto company, money to just be just the same dichotomy
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
Walmart. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to be another client and then see you next year. And then that's when you mentioned to me, how to like strategize, setting up an LLC and an umbrella and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah.
that's what I'm really interested in doing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we do that. Yeah, the setting up and that's also another thing that people, almost everyone could consider at some point if they want to start a business, is to set up an LLC or a corporation for themselves. Is usually almost always recommended for any business type. So and for a lot of people though, it depends on how complicated they want to have their lives. There's some people who, I mean, I've set up helped set up I didn't set up a corporation for somebody because I'm not an attorney, but I've definitely helped people, guide them through the process. And there's some people who are just like, I don't like this. It's just like too much paperwork, and you're like, okay, cool, it's not your thing. Or there's some people who are just like all about it. They're like, yeah, I want like a corporation and a trust under it with a LLC that owns another LLC, and you're just like, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that type of stuff because that's what I deal with all day long.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see and stuff is kind of these more type of complex type of structures. But anyways,
And just so maybe we could go into that a little bit. The reason you would want to set up like a multi-level business structure, like an LLC that owns other LLCs, or a corporation that owns LLCs under it, is so that basically what you do is you protect yourself and your assets. So if you ever get sued, you're not getting sued. Who's
Right.
getting sued is the LLC. And then to go beyond that, they have to go, right?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to get too much in the legal stuff because I'm just like,
Because you're not a lawyer.
well, I mean, also, it's like, if you're personally liable for something, I don't know how much, protection a corporation or LLC really does. But, yeah, from a tax standpoint, there's advantages that definitely, I think they're kind of too extensive to really go into all of them on just one podcast. But there's definitely some perks of having an LLC or a corporation. Um, and I mean, it's just usually highly recommended for any type of business type. So
Yeah, mainly you were talking about the like the self proprietor tax. Like that's the first thing
well,
you
Well, the soul, yeah. And that's the thing too. Like for example, for the people who are considering starting their own business and stuff, maybe hold off on doing an LLC or a corporation until you're profitable, and then it'll really pay off. And then because in the meantime, you could just take a write off on the Schedule C as a sole proprietor, and then basically, once you start making revenue and stuff, you can pump it up to an LLC or a corporation. You could save yourself a few bucks there because as long as there's not like some huge liability issues involved with it, I guess. But yeah, that way you're saving the $800 that California, I guess, would want.
Yeah.
And I get that question too a lot. They're like, well, what if I set up a Delaware or some out of state corporation or LLC? I'm like, well, now you have two sets of filing. Anyways, I don't want to go into that. It's
Okay.
kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in that, but yeah. I mean, we can make things complicated, but at the end of the day, it just depends on what you want to accomplish and what your long term goals are. And I guess that's why it's so important to have a vision and a mission statement and such, because you want to really understand where you're going. Oh, you know what? There's another good book I was reading recently, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and there's a really good quote from it. He said, "The seagull that sees the furthest."
What's it called? Say again.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. He says, "The seagull that sees the furthest flies the highest," or I forgot what that is, but basically it means like if you could see so far in the future, you're going to be way better off. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to with education stuff and long term goals, is like if you can visualize what 10 years from now looks like, you're in really good shape. And I mean, what I've done in my career to do this, facilitate this, is I write down 1 year goal, 5 year goals, 10 year goals, and you know what's crazy is I was going through my desk, my like cabinet the other day, and I found the mission statement when I first started my business, which was 11 years ago, or my practice. And literally, like, my 10-year goals I accomplished. And I was, like, checking it out. I was like, whoa.
That's cool.
You know what I did after that? I wrote another 5-year, 10-year plan. Because I'm like, well, shit, if this worked, then,
Yeah.
let's keep it going.
That's like Jim Carrey writing you heard
Yeah.
Jim Carrey wrote the $10 million thing and kept it in his wallet.
That's a trip. I do know that
Yeah.
story. Because, yeah, he was, like, just a comedian struggling in L.A. And, like, he was like, one day, this check will be real.
Yeah.
And it was like, so that's cool.
I wrote one. I keep it. I keep it in my wallet too. You never know. Maybe with this whole crypto thing, it's totally. It's more and more possible. The more I study and the more I practice, the more I realize how opportunistic it really is, and also how much more dangerous it is. it's
Okay.
Trading is no joke. This last 2 months has been like pretty rough on the downswing, but if it hadn't happened, it would have. If it didn't happen now, it would have happened later, and it would have been a much larger mistake. And so I have to really be appreciative of the mistake that it was this time, because I'm not going to make these same mistakes again. And that's another thing about being an entrepreneur anyway, is mistakes are an everyday thing.
Yeah, and that's where the attitude comes in, because the other day I was like, what happened? I was like, this is a learning. This is an opportunity to learn. And I was like thankful that someone was giving me a hard time in my business, because I was like, this is going to teach me so much.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy about it. I was like, oh man, I wish this. But it's just like training our brains, I guess, to see things differently. Instead of thinking, oh God, here we go, you can say, oh God, here we go. We're learning here.
Yeah.
It was awesome, because I'll be so much stronger after I handle this.
Yeah, no, there's always seeds of change planted in chaos. So, I got to thinking about someone I was like, man, this shit really sucks. I was like, you know what though? I was like, I've been way poorer than this. So like I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a what do they call it? Like a first world problem or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
a positive problem.
I mean, when I was in college, I think I had negative. Um, I mean, I was living just like eating top ramen, and I mean, I had like a 1 bedroom. I didn't even have any furniture. I just had a mattress on the floor. I remember I went to Home Depot and I bought some palm trees to make my bedroom look like nicer. And I was like, nice. It's coming together.
Coming together.
It's coming together.
So you've been at the bottom. You
Yeah.
understand what it is to climb, not just get handed. And honestly, I don't really know hardly anybody that's been handed anything.
Yeah.
Most of the people I know, they come from crazy, wild situations, and they, like you just said, like it's where attitude comes in, and that's one thing that I really love about San Diego is a lot of people got a lot going on, but everybody seems to keep pretty good attitude most of the time.
Yeah, I think gratitude goes a long way. You know, it's really. I mean, you know, I don't know how it is living in other parts of the country. I mean, the country here, because you know, I think we were talking about extreme weather the other day, and I was like, yeah, extreme weather here in San Diego is like a coastal eddy, like blocks your sunset, and you're like, oh. Jesus. Like, you know, whereas like you go to the Midwest and there's like tornadoes.
Dang it, it's cloudy today. It's only cloudy for half the day. Yeah. No, I can't even imagine what it'd be like to deal with like rain, and I hate wind. Like real wind, you know, not a breeze, but like.
Well, it's tough to get motivated in the morning too when it's like raining cats and dogs and it's cold outside and you don't want to get like, you know, you don't want to leave your house.
Yeah.
Like people are driving crazy because no one knows how to drive.
Yeah.
Right here. No, that's a stereotype. I think that people do okay, but you know, it's just
well, one of the big problems here, what I learned is because it never rains, a lot of car oils and dust and soot builds up on the roads.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
then when it gets water on it, it's literally water and oil on all the roads. And that's the problem, is it's way slicker than these other places where it rains regularly.
Yeah.
It's not as the asphalt doesn't get as slick. But here it's like it's a slip and slide. Can be.
Yeah.
I know this because I've had a lady hydroplane and like wrecked the shit out of my car.
Oh,
that happened like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But
it just yeah, it's kind of a that's the thing. It's like I don't know, just I like for example, I don't know. I shouldn't name any city on a podcast, but I was just thinking about what it'd be like to live in like some East Coast type of inland type of cities where it does get pretty like snowing.
It's not that great.
I don't know how this like, but you know, it does feel nice to see the sun out. You know, it's just a weird like I don't know. I feel like there's a shift in people's mentality here in San Diego when it gets like today, for example, we got a heat wave, right? I notice people are kind of rushing around a little crazy, and you know, they're looking at one another like, get out of my way. You know, it's like people don't know how to act in different weather here because it's so temperate.
It's so fair weather. Yeah.
So fair weather.
Yeah. It's like my incubator's not set to the optimum temperature. Yeah, no, I actually love it when it rains here. Not ideally like in the summertime, but when it rains here in the right months, I know for a fact it's snowing somewhere, and I'm like, time to go snowboarding. I mean, and it's like clockwork. If it's like really hammering here, I know that like a day or 2 or 3 from now, it's going to be epic in the mountains. And so that's when I like start packing my bags. Whenever it starts raining, I go check my bags and start making a plan. So that's one thing that, you know, you gotta learn to roll with, you know, how Mother Nature's gonna, you know, how it's gonna.
It's all attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard somewhere before that gratitude is the only emotion that you choose. I think it was Andrew Huberman, or I don't know. It was on one of the podcasts, many podcasts that I listen to. But it's true. It's like you can actually change your state of being quickly by expressing gratitude, even if you don't want to. And I usually, like, I do like really simple things. I say all my body parts. I'll say, like, I start with my toes and my feet, my ankles, my knees, and like I just work all the way up to my head, and then I go into other things.
Well, during this pandemic too, I think people need to kind of get have that too, because it's just been a weird year.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it, but
Speaking of
being
which,
gratitude. Yeah.
today is the 15th.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we're open.
San
again,
Diego is officially open
Nice,
today. No masks required.
Yeah, I didn't. Well,
I know.
I went out today though. I still saw the mask. I was like, oh, okay, we're still doing that thing.
I'm sure that some places are still. I'm sure all places are still going to have signs that say mask required.
Yeah, I don't think that's going away.
But I'm pretty sure today was the day that we're back open. So yeah, watch out. All the tourists are on their way.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
about to get busy.
Well,
by
that's
the beaches at least.
Well, that's a crazy thing too. Is now that everything's starting to open up, everyone's traveling, and it's just like crazy how everyone's like, yeah, we're traveling. And I actually booked something earlier this year, but it got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this. And then like just shortly after that though, everything opened up again. And everyone's jumping on planes going to Tulum and Cancun and stuff like that. Actually, that's what I was thinking. I just want to go to a tropical beach.
I've heard Tulum is awesome.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
I've never been there. I've had quite a few friends going there here lately, though. One thing that was great about, if you could travel, if you like, I went to Colorado in February for like round trip. It was like less than $150. I think it was like $139.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was awesome. I was like, sweet, I can get away for a week, and that's it. So
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? We can wrap this up.
Oh yeah. No, I was just chilling, talking, man. This is awesome. It's nice to.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Like I said, I've been kind of on hiatus for the past 2 months, dealing with the crash in crypto. I got a new puppy. I don't know where she's at. She's sleeping over there. So I've been like really focused on just working out, refining my crypto strategy. Also, one of the coolest things I did in the past few weeks is I got my parents to buy some Bitcoin, which was a step. And it made me realize, like, I really wanted to get them to do it last year because I knew the opportunity last year was monumental. It was the ultimate asymmetrical bet.
Yeah.
When COVID happened, I was like, dude, because I had been reading all the Warren Buffett stuff and just everything, and I was like, now is the time to take whatever you have and to buy something with it, some kind of asset. Yeah, it's like you're not gonna get many other chances to be like, this is only going up, like, and I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell. A lot of people thought I was like, they thought the world was ending and everything. And I even had like one friend. He's like, dude, you should keep some cash. And I was like. I was like, nope. I was like, I'm putting it in Bitcoin. I was like, I'm gonna definitely just put it in Bitcoin. That's like, because I had been studying and I understood, the deflationary aspect of it, and it was the best decision I ever made, except for moving to California and moving away from, just getting out of my hometown and learning that there's a bigger world out there was the only.
That must have been a crazy leap because I hear about that, like, where people don't like leave like 30 miles from where they were born and raised and stuff, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, why? But it's just normal, for them to
Yeah.
think that way. For the longest time, I don't think I left San Diego for like the longest time, and I had this like
I feel
I
bad
think
for natives sometimes because
yeah.
I'm like, you really don't know how good it is here. I'm like, you do because you've like always been here, but at the same time, like I've had people that are natives and they're like, yeah, I want to go live like in Boston for some time or something like that. I'm like,
No, that never
I'm like
happened with
maybe,
me.
I'm like maybe that'll be cool. I was like, but you'll want to come back. Like, and I even know a girl who moved to Boston and she came back.
Oh, shit.
Just
I think I had a near death experience kind of like in my early 20s, and I just remembered thinking, I was like, oh, I'm going to die here in San Diego, and I never saw anything, And then I don't know. Shortly after that, I started to kind of like get more mentally. Traveling is kind of different ball of wax. I don't know, in a lot of ways. I mean,
yeah,
got to mentally prepare for it. But after you get, I think the thing I love about traveling though is once you get the hang of it, it just becomes like, oh yeah, we're doing it, and
yeah.
then you get to enjoy.
You get to relax into it.
Yeah, you get to relax into something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not like stressful.
yeah,
Like, cause flying can be stressful.
yeah. There's always ups and downs.
I used to love it, but now I seem to get like the ear pressure stuff. Like, I used to not have that problem, but now I always have one ear that doesn't pop, or it does on the way up, but it doesn't pop on the way back down. So when I get on the ground, I can hear out of one ear, but the other ear is like I'm deaf, and I'm like, dude, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I don't like that either. It's like, and sometimes you just land and you feel the pressure release from your ears, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, so there's sometimes where you land and you're like, it's just like for like 3 days or something, and then you're just like, is this why?
Yeah.
It's like weird, but
Yeah.
I got.
So is there any other places you like to travel? Like,
well,
repetitively?
Yeah, I do. That's one of the things like about, I don't know. I never really traveled before, and about 6 or 7 years ago, one of my friends, he was going to go study in Hungary. He's like, why don't you go to Budapest with me? And I'm like, okay. So my first travel experience was Hungary, Budapest, which is a pretty tough place to go for your first trip.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect, and it was tough. It was really tough. I didn't know anything about traveling, so there he goes.
All right. So we had technical difficulties again. Thanks, GoPro. So you were telling me about your first travel story was to Budapest, Hungary?
Well, it's like a lot of people, they have like their first trip out of the country. It's like a fun place like Cancun, or, they're partying in Thailand or something, somewhere tropical. I went to, Hungary, where it's kind of...
Go ahead.
It's just a tough place to travel to for the first time, so I don't know. But that was a good experience because it was so rough that the next time I went across seas, it was really easy. After dealing with stuff like realizing that I needed like a European charger, and just things like that. Just things
I wouldn't even think about that.
head. Yeah, and try to find one. They're like, no, you gotta go to the next town and take the train to get one. You're like, are you kidding me? You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But,
and your phone's dead, so you're like on your own.
You're scared, yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So remember that if you go to Europe, make sure you got the right charger, or else you're gonna be lost. All right, cool. Well, if anybody needs your help, they can find you at montoyacpa.com, right?
Yep, that's where you find me.
Cool. And basically, if you are an entrepreneur, I highly recommend you use him because he's down to earth, and he's helped me, and he beat everybody else's rates when I compared 4 other people's rates, and he's local, so to San Diego, if you're a San Diego person. So thank you, and come here. Let's show the camera.
Yeah, let's get Lukey in here.
Come here. She's like, what are you doing to me? Oh, this is my new puppy, Luca dog. Say something into the camera or into the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, surf's up, Godspeed, live loud, and peace out. Surf's up, fam. Corey here. Thanks for tuning in to the episode. We're still growing, so we're really happy you hung in with us and made it to the end. Remember, perfection isn't the goal, progress is. Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell, as well as check out our Patreon link in the description if you would like to support us. We'll be seeing you in the waters of life's next swell, so prepare well and exercise your freedom. Thanks for listening, and if you have an interesting story of your own, Surf's Up would love to hear it. Email us for scheduling at surfsuppodcasts@gmail.com. Disclaimer. Surf's Up Podcast is for entertainment and inspirational purposes only. It does not endorse any of the activities discussed on the show. It is Surf's Up intention to inspire the San Diego community and communities beyond by sharing the stories of our brothers and sisters we share dance floors with and the creators that organize the events and share their art with us. We're all surfing this wave of life together, and we must remember to stay connected and raise each other up. And remember, we're all artists at heart, so share yourself with your community. In the words of JFK, a rising tide lifts all boats. Thanks for listening in, and if you have any interesting story of your own, Surf's Up would love to hear it. Surf's Up, fam.